Greetings, welcome to Optimum Live episode 10 from a completely different location, your spot. I'm all the way back here. I am here. We're in Cheltenham. We're in the site in Cheltenham. And it is where Optimum have another one of their offices. But most importantly, we've actually got the site with us that we're going to be chatting with today. But first, before we come onto the site, I want to have a chat with the guys from Optimum. We've got Rob Stokes, Head of Accounts and Audit.
Yep.
Yeah. And Iain Mason, Head of Legal.
Indeed.
Greetings to you both.
Afternoon.
This we were realising the other day is the first time that I've been to your Cheltenham office.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous place.
It's a great building. It's kind of, I think you're going to join the rest of our team who come up here every now and then and go. It's a great environment to come and work in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure you'll be back again.
I can imagine it. I mean, because you do every other month, you do a networking thing here as well.
Yeah, we have a breakfast here.
Yeah, and I've kind of not come across to it because I'm in Swindon, so I do Swindon office, right? And I've kind of gone, well, I don't really want to do the air balloon roundabout while they're doing all the work, or before they were doing it as well. But thankfully, Tom, my video dude, he used to live here, so he knows the skirt around it. Yeah, exactly. So we just did that, and I've gone, actually, it's not that bad. And then I get here thinking, I need to come here for this.
Yeah, no, it's great because upstairs now the event space is open, so we hosted the last one there, and it's previously we've hosted it down the back end of the building, but now got the event space, and it's so much nicer. Great place to kind of do that networking breakfast.
Well, Iain, I was hearing as well that you guys have actually moved to a new office within this building as well. Is that right?
Yes, I discovered this morning.
As you went into the wrong room.
Yeah. Did you not get my texts, Rob? No, evidently. So yes, we have moved. Yeah.
Could you report that on camera?
I know. Well, it went really smoothly because I got to Swindon office yesterday morning and Larissa rang me and said, I think the door's stuck to the new office. I can't get in. I went, oh no, I've locked it and the key's in my drawer for you. So it's been a real smooth transition.
Well, I mean, it's a great, and you're over here at least once a week.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming to see these guys, of course, making sure they're not getting into too much trouble. Or if they are, we're mitigating the risk and all the rest of it. No, so yeah, every week. Yeah, it's as you say,
it's a cool space, not a nice space.
It is. Cool. Yeah,
really different, really funky, and I've really enjoyed it. You can just see just the table, this layout around here. It's just really, really cool. I do say that genuinely because we were quite impressed, weren't we, Tom, when we got here to set up the virtual studio. But most importantly, no disrespect, guys. We've got from the site now. Let's get this right. We've got Charley, Director of Finance and Investments, and we've got Jamie,
Yeah.
Not James, I'm told. It's Jamie.
It is Jamie.
That's right. Okay. Director of Business Development.
Yeah.
That's correct. I've got that down.
Other things, but yeah.
Another, usually.
Yeah.
But guys, great to see you, and thank
See
you
you.
for welcoming us to this wonderful place. How long has this been in existence?
So it's phase one of two opened about what, 4 years? Maybe 4 years ago?
3.5 years
3.5
ago.
years ago?
Yeah.
And we're just completing phase two. So which will hopefully be open by, in all its glory by the end of the summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then certainly we're hoping for a big grand opening party for phase two
Well,
just
sound
before
of
Christmas.
We all love the style.
I'm just in time.
Exactly. Make sure that the name's there. What? And I don't know which one to aim this, so I'm going to try to. What was this place before? If you've been working on it, what was this place here?
I'll let Jamie answer.
It certainly wasn't cool. But thank you for calling it cool, because that's quite a compliment. We were aiming for a bit of cool, but also professional. So
Well,
it's trying to tread that line, which is quite difficult because we're not.
It's professional with quirkiness.
Yeah, exactly. We're not all airy, very creatives, so you can't get away with that design agency look. But everyone tries to capture that now in office space.
It's not Google offices.
No, we haven't got hammocks and hay bales. Yeah, it's close to that.
Although Charley's just logged that one.
Yeah.
All the items.
The cheaper.
So it was an industrial.
It was two parts. There was a large industrial unit, 3 parts really. A large industrial unit, like your typical steel frame and tin clad. There was some more historic sort of brick built warehouses to the rear, and then there was a 60s office block.
Really?
So
Wow.
anyone who knows construction and development, that's a nightmare to convert, because you've got basically different buildings that weren't built for this purpose to try and combine. So it was quite challenging.
And that's what you have done. You haven't sort of Control-Alt-Delete, floored it and started again. You have actually converted.
Yeah, we converted. So now in hindsight,
Oh, I've just gone the wrong direction.
good architectural teams. So Apex Architecture, who are based here, led the design team for the conversion work.
Okay.
There's benefits of converting over, starting from scratch, but we decided to do it, so we were stuck with it, and I think it's come out okay, but it's hard work.
Well, I'm yet to do the full tour, because I said afterwards, didn't I, that we'll do that. Rob's going to take me around, but again, I'm not sure which one of this I should aim this to, but outside. So this is the site Cheltenham. This building. Is it a serviced office or just space to?
Yeah, ultimately it's a serviced office.
Yeah.
Building. There are a mix of tenures here, so there are some, basically fully serviced offices. There's some people who choose to lease, just because they prefer that approach. And then there's some retail space as well. So there's a showroom,
Of course.
which is separate, and a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And a separate coffee shop.
Cool. That's really, really, really
Yeah.
cool.
So definitely.
We keep these guys out of the coffee shop.
No, they don't spend as much. Yeah, they're tea guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Tea drinkers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, when the hammer's in, that's straight round
Yeah.
there with
I mean, where did the not so much the business thing, which we will come on to, never being clients of yours, but your knowledge of this place, your desire to move into this place, where did that your exposure to
it kind of came through the fact that they were clients anyway.
so it was
So when they bought the building, it was kind of like we're buying the building, and then obviously part of the premise is bringing in kind of like-minded businesses, but also businesses that have some synergy. So like as Jamie mentioned, there's Apex, the architects, there's planning consultants, and so it's kind of building that portfolio of people here who share work amongst themselves in a similar business environment.
Yeah, it was kind of it was the perfect time to do it in one sense, because our sort of core team of consultants that we work with regularly on projects were looking for space in Cheltenham, so we kind of took the opportunity to create some space, and everyone came in and joined us that we wanted to, which was great. And that kind of crystallized the concept really of it being a property and construction specific place to work.
Right.
And obviously, like with the accountancy and legal side of things, that's just so heavily integrated with everything property and construction that's like a natural extension to the services that are on offer here. It was perfect in one sense that everyone wanted to come in. It was terrible in the other sense that we went straight into COVID.
Yeah.
Like there was like building a service office building and then there's no one in it. It was a bit, yeah, a bit scary, but we got it done. Everyone's still here and more. So that's
All in all, you guys like a challenge.
Yeah.
That's a
It does seem that
Cloud.
yeah. It does things and throw as many challenges in. I mean, from your side, Charlie, obviously, as I said, your title is Director of Finance and Investments. How much do you get involved in the projects?
Well, they're massively interlinked because this project, doing this required finance and then private and institutional investment. So talking about the challenges and the thing that immediately comes to me was dealing with that as a team, going from 0.5% interest rates to 5.25%, and people making offers, reneging on offers. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're happy to approve that so that you can do your work. Oh, actually, we've changed our mind and try. This is the total amount of work that's been done here is close to £2 million over the last 4 or 5 years, and that's a huge challenge in itself to actually get as actually a small business to get funding like that to deliver something. If you're a big business, it's a lot easier, but we don't have that sort of behind us. We had to think outside the box and work with different lenders and sort of persuade them along the way. So yeah, we've done it. We've done it, which is great. But it was extremely challenging. But one of the great things about why we're sat here talking today was the way that we worked as a group through it. If we were just somebody else at the end of the phone, we wouldn't have got it done. Like the amount of work that, particularly towards the end, Iain and I had to do with our lender and really scrutinising some stuff that is sort of outside of our area of expertise, but had to be done. And those hours in the end turned into what we needed. So yeah, I was extremely grateful for that.
Yeah, quite. Just quickly, Tom, did you press record on the switcher? Good. I just wanted to just don't roll. Yeah, it's fine. We're live, but I want to make sure it's recording as well for the clip work. I want to expand on it quickly before we go into the other details. We've obviously talked about this as the site Cheltenham, but what else do you as an organisation go? As I understand, there's different areas for your business.
Yeah, this is very much at the centre of that group of businesses, though, mainly because, well, in two parts really, in the sense that it kind of is what we do, and as far as everyone here we work with regularly, not only to sustain this place, to make this place like a great place to be and work, but also to deliver projects as well outside of here. Construction projects, yeah. Well, to be honest, like construction projects, development projects, property investment projects to an extent. We're also involved with securing land and planning. We're looking at planning promotion, that kind of stuff. So everything to do with the planning and development process, ultimately.
Okay.
And there's specialisms within this building to deal with all of that.
Got it.
Yeah, so from right the way from a patch of land, securing planning consent and selling it on, right the way through to patch of land securing consent, right the way through technical design, through procurement, and then building out and selling. So
And I'm only just starting to realise quite how much is involved with that, because one of my newest clients, National Self-Built Renovation Centre in Swindon, and they sort of like work with a whole load of people as
Yeah, I
well.
know that place well.
But they equally turn around and say that people might not even go down the route because they think there's such an issue at the start.
Yeah, that
Whereas if
kind
you
of-
know more about it, then
yeah, that due diligence is so important, and like, you know, from like tax, legal, company structure, let alone like planning policy,
yeah,
both local and national, sort of changing on the wind. Building regulations, implications of that, like impacts of technical design. Yeah, so it's an ever-changing landscape that we have to just keep up with. Well, we don't, like, but you surround yourself with people that do, and
it's about
Yeah.
the we, isn't it? The
Especially
team. People
part,
buy
yeah.
into
The good thing that we could do is what we get a lot of now is we get sent, I don't know, 5 opportunities a week, maybe, some like from an agent or from somebody that we know. Spoken to this person, they've got this house, they want to turn it into 8 flats or something like
Yeah.
that. So we can just go, right, quick sense check with the planners, with the architects, with the QS, with the construction company. If it's all we can do as detailed as required to either advise that person or to advise ourselves on whether we want to take it forward, and we can pull together a suite of information quickly that we trust because we know who they are, and we work with these guys all the time.
Yeah.
So we can appraise stuff and understand quite quickly if it's a goer. And that advice works really well for us because not many people have got access to that information like quickly as part of a wider team,
100%.
all the way through to working out what it would cost to build.
Yeah, it's that kind of quick sense check is a lot easier to establish when you can have quick conversations with people or get around the table in a space like this. You know, the industry is notorious for like just you have, you know, on a project you could have like 10 different specialist consultants.
Yeah.
You know, they're all spread across the county. To actually get around the table, which sometimes is required at quite an early stage, that's a lot of upheaval, you know, to get in one place. So, you know, that's one of the things we found is really beneficial, particularly to us as clients, but also as developers and development managers as well for other people.
Yeah.
That, you know, you can just say, oh, can you have a quick look at this? And then, you know, no problem. And then there's a value to that.
Which I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it does feed into it quite nicely. It's one of the key things, and we've talked about this long before this episode was planned, to be fair, haven't we? Is that it was one of the, and I'm going to take it from your perspective first and then back to you guys, is that it was one of the key things with Optimum themselves having the account side and the legal side instead of having client, solicitor, accountant all in there, trying to get them into the room.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just that easy. It's a pickup of a phone. It's Iain, I need you in Cheltenham for a day because this is what we're sitting on and working on a project.
Yeah.
And it's just easy, and it's easy for us as well because it's kind of the open door concept. Here we sit in an office, albeit we've moved a little further away at the moment, but
Some people,
some people,
I've moved into this.
But it is that thing of it's when we're in this building, it's an open door so that if there is a question, anybody's just entitled to walk in and just knock on the door and say, come here, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. It's just that freedom of information that's there. It's kind of everybody here is trying to help each other out to make it the best for all of our clients.
Yeah,
It's not just that we're here just to make it best for our clients. It's kind of everybody in this building sharing that client.
And it's not like an exclusive club either. And actually, like what we're trying to do is raise awareness. Like this is a great way to do that, so that people know like we're here, who we are, who's here, what they do, and those benefits that you know they can benefit from as well. And the sooner you do that in a project, like the better.
get controls from the get-go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want the surprises a little bit later.
It's just, I think it's everyone just being grown up about how small businesses need to be.
Yeah.
And like, I had a message yesterday from our finance broker who made reference to the fact that he'd been passed a couple of leads from Optimum, and like he didn't have to do that, but he was like, "That's brilliant, it's great. Like that's how we need to be."
Yeah,
because
anyone that
we're all,
can be here.
yeah, and we're also busy because we're all small businesses. So actually everyone's sort of being a bit more grown up about, rather than saying, oh, well, if you come in for 10 minutes, that's £40 plus that. You know, it's like, it's not like that because
Only 40.
but, you know, it's like it's more grown up than that, and everyone, because the actual business goes both ways.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. I like the phrase "grown up," and it's not being threatened all the time, and sort of collaborative working. I did an episode 5, I think, of my own show was about collaboration in business, and there's got to be a lot more. And that came from a colleague of mine and a good friend who had this whole phrase of collaboration, not competition. Don't think everybody's out to get you, and it's sort of you do that work together.
Yeah.
Historically wise, a slight change of subject. You two are brothers as well.
Yeah, historically and currently.
Yeah, you haven't renovated that.
No.
Yes, we're quite a lot.
Have you always?
It's still brothers.
Yeah.
I've been formally part of the team since the end of January last year.
Okay.
But I've been involved for years and years through my family's involvement in projects that we've done with some or all of the people here, but generally through our construction company AMPM based here.
Yeah.
We did some work in the past, and so I was involved on the kind of peripheries of that. But now I'm full throttle.
You're in.
Okay, now that's it. And with yourself, you've been involved since the inception of the business.
Yeah, not AMPM construction, that's part of what we do. But from our development side of things, I was been here since the start of that, which is probably nearly 10 years now.
Yeah. But did I get the impression that you took over the ownership of it?
No. So we
It was more about the AMPN bit that 2 of the old guard who started the business back in the day kind of stepped aside. So Snowy stepped aside for his son Dan to come in, and then
I was there.
Jamie was invited in.
Got it. You can understand why I missed it.
There's a lot of
Many layers.
The key thing about this place though is, which AMPM is like a really important part of, is that there's the ability to deliver a project like right the way through the development cycle. So from like acquisition to disposal, and obviously the construction is a really important part of that. And that's quite unique as well about this place. We feel is that there are AMPM is like front and center. There's other construction companies that aren't based here that we work with as well, so that we can confidently like deliver whatever is designed and planned here as well.
Got you.
And we're trying to just cut out a lot of the expensive and sort of costly, both in money and time, the sort of tendering and procurement process in construction and development. It's something that we feel like the local market is almost moving away from a bit. It's done on something called a negotiated basis, which basically means that the construction team are working regularly with those architects and those planners and that, so that
the price is the price.
like it's going to cost what it's going to cost, and you're better off working with someone you've worked with before, or the team has worked with before. So
you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. You're only as good as your last job anyway. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we move on to the relationship between the two parties, just to make sure I get this, and it is an opportunity, and I know Optimum were happy, keen for me to do this, is to promote you guys. You can see the wonderful website behind us. That is the site Cheltenham. So that's the site cheltenham.co.uk.
Yeah.
In fact, I shouldn't have just asked that, because I did put it up ready for people to see. So on the screen, you'll see now the site cheltenham.co.uk. Who would go and look at that? What kind of customers would we be getting to go to that particular website?
That particular website is about the building space inside.
Yeah.
So anyone that's looking for office space, don't think we've got much left, or looking to host networking events or CPD events, panel talks, that kind of thing. We're having a big push on our sort of events calendar. here.
Live shows.
Yeah, yeah, magic shows.
Yeah. I've got no
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah, it's,
Okay, so that's the site cheltenham.co.uk.
yeah.
But who else would we be reaching out, and where would they go to for that?
So there's the site projects. So basically, everything we've talked about is coordinated through a business which is under the site brand, but it's our basically project management company.
Okay.
And that's site-projects.co.uk.
I was trying to do that live. I'll have to.
That's all right. I can send it. So the website's currently being updated as well.
Oh, that's fine. So I won't put it on screen.
So,
I was going to show that it is totally live because I can put it up there. Say it again. So it's
site projects. That's site-projects.co.uk.
fine. Okay.
Got that right?
Yeah.
Do that.
We'll update it if it's a little bit wrong. And
Yeah,
we'll get it.
So basically, it is a separate business to the site Cheltenham as an office space.
Yeah.
It is ultimately a tenant of the building.
Yeah.
But we set that business up to coordinate projects that happen as a result of this place,
Yes.
because we recognise there's a need for that. And if someone isn't doing that, then things like optimised, they're not really being driven forward in the way that most development projects require.
Okay.
So that's fine.
So it's that one point of contact for
Yeah.
somebody. If they like a person who happens to have loads of land or something, doesn't necessarily know that they need to get ecology new updates done, and they will fall foul of, they are likely to fall foul of the process. So all of the benefits of using this place to have all your professional team can then just be spearheaded by site projects, so that person just has one point of contact that can handle it for them.
Question. They already have a contact in one of those areas. Does that exclude them from being able to come here for everything else?
No. So it's like
Quite common, actually.
Yeah. Doing like projects with different architects or different planning consultants, and even some of our own stuff might already come attached with a planning consultant from a different practice.
Sure.
So everyone's
not
grown up about it.
No, it's
because
not.
they don't tell all of their clients they'll only work for them if they get it built by AMPM or something. It's sensible and but it's always our start point if it's
If it comes through the front door and there's no one attached to it, it won't leave until like everyone's part of it. Or it seems to be like it works as a principle, in as far as if we've got a project with a completely clean project, no one attached to it, everyone here is like, right, let's get the job done.
Yeah.
And that's the point, really.
I like it. I meant to say as well, if you're watching and you've got any questions or comments that you want to do, please put them in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. Put them there and we can put them up on screen, and I can put them to the guys and they can answer that or respond accordingly. So please feel free to do any of that if you're watching live. If you're watching after the live airing, we'll try and keep an eye on anything, or you can drop an email to any of the guys as well and find out more. Okay, taking that, I mean, in essence, Iain, that really does sort of demonstrate the challenges these guys had, really, in the fact that there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and you guys have kind of got involved and centralised some of those tasks yourselves as Optimum, with yourself as legal and then the accounts as well.
I'll probably defer to Robin. Yeah, because I mean, as you say, I mean, I think with property or anything that you do in this day and age, nothing's in isolation. So I mean, I thought it gets through my head when we talk about it. I mean, you talk about planning consultants, construction, whichever. You're almost looking at silos where this is almost a sector. You need to be a specialist in the sector. You need to know which bit and when you're going to need it. And there's plenty of deals there's stuff that we're working on at the moment where we've looked at the legal structure, and really the legal structure that Jamie's touched on it as well. What's best? Is it an LLP? Do we do an unincorporated association, or how are we going to structure this? What's the shareholding behind?
Which we did a whole episode on.
Well, we did.
Which
We're then going back into where are we at in terms of the process? And I suppose it's almost where you're talking about somebody walks in the door about, I've got some land I want to sell. Well, do you? What's your exit strategy? Are you looking to build? Are you looking for a long-term hold? Because depending on how we put all of this together, you're almost the first port of call in that you're helping people ask the questions that they don't even know, or they've got to ask.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get, and as Jamie says, sometimes they know what they're talking about. Sometimes it's just been, I've heard this down the pub, and you're kind of, well, yeah, you're kind of getting there, but it needs a bit more than that.
Yeah.
So being involved on that one, I suppose it's a question of, do you need, how deep a shade do you need me to be involved? Is it just the right touch at the start, or am I going to get properly embedded? The collaboration point, as Jamie on a appraisal, sometimes it's, what do you think of this? And I think we've had this conversation before, working with Rob on our side. Right, give that a green light. Don't worry. Actually, you'll need a bit more input on the legal side of things.
Yeah.
And then it's, what have you got riding on this? How much do you want? All of those sorts of questions that come through.
And which I know, Rob, we were chatting about, and as I understand, this came from, I think it was even as basic as that you had an accounting software package that you kind of weren't familiar with yourselves, and the people you were doing it at the time weren't familiar with it. And it just helped
that
out
was
there.
that was how my first introduction to AMPM was an inquiry about how to help their bookkeeper use the software to the best.
Yeah.
So we put one of our team in there, and then the accounts and the tax compliance stuff kind of arrived after that. And then after a couple of, well, we've done this, what do you think, moments where it had to be kind of, it's a lot easier to be proactive and go, right, we're thinking about, so you can sit down and kind of pull the angles around to start with, rather than going, we've done this, and then you kind of go, we've got to reverse engineer it now to try and get the right result. So now it's kind of, as all of the guys are alluded to, it's kind of there's an opportunity arrives on the door, and then it's kind of, there's a knock on the door, and it's, have you got 5 minutes? We've got this. How do we think it's going to work best? Not just from the tax angle, which obviously is quite important, but
Just a bit,
but it shouldn't be the overriding point on a deal. Is kind of, tax is a fact of life, so it's about mitigating it, but it shouldn't kill a deal. If the deal's still the right deal, it shouldn't kill it. It's just about mitigating it in the right way, and that's where we kind of recently we've been spending quite a lot of time sitting around thrashing ideas out to go, right, okay, we know we're going to pay some tax. How do we get it as minimal as possible? And actually, where we've got projects, we've got multiple parties in, it's kind of, how do we structure it so that each one gets the best tax? Because some people will have loan accounts and various other methods that you can return money to them. Actually, it's tax-free or very little tax, whereas others, they might have a capital gain, a capital loss that they're sat there that you go, right, okay, we need to create them a gain because they can use the loss against it. So it's about kind of sitting there and everybody having that open book of going, we're talking about this.
Yeah.
This is my angle, this is my angle, and this is my angle. So then you just kind of meld it into something that actually works, and then kind of Iain comes along and goes, yes, no. From a legal perspective, not comfortable with that. Yes, I am. It's fine.
Which, I mean, for me, the thing that jumps out, guys, is that there's kind of almost two angles to it. It's helping you run your own business, full stop, but there is adding to this pot that you were talking about with all the experts coming together, and that helping your business means that you were practicing what you preach about, sort of like bringing the accounts, the legal, bringing it together rather than having all these different parties all around.
Yeah, because you've got that advice like when you really need it, which is not always in control of. You need to be quite reactive, and then also Rob can have conversations with Iain and the wider team that we don't even need to sit in on.
Yeah,
which is great because I just
and part of the reason why I joined was to help move towards a more proactive long-term strategy for dealing with all these what started off as separate things and trying to bring them together to be more cohesive. So our strategy is built with the team, like with the guys. Like it's because I don't know what the tax implications are. I don't know whether that's right or wrong. Like so we build that and then learn, and then we're sort of learning as we go as well from the advice. And touch wood, we're close to landing quite a big deal that really has been built with everyone's involvement, and that will be great because it's not standard either. It's quite picky, which is great.
Scare you off in the first place.
Yeah, because we know that means that we know that we can get complicated get stuff over the line.
There's usually a way, isn't there? You just got to sit down and figure it out, and then be confident in it, and then be able to actually articulate it to the other side. Sometimes that's just like, trust it, like this will work if you'll come along with us, and they are. So it's.
I love it. I just love how the fact that there is that whole, from the outside, the complicated side of things, but there is also, with all the parties involved, but there is, you're still trying to run a business. And I'm like you, as a business owner, I'm there kind of going, what does that mean? What does that mean? Whether it's tax, whether it's legal and everything. And to know, because again, Optimum are my accountants as well as them being clients of mine, very much a two-way relationship there as well with us guys, is that you've got the expertise on hand, both internally and for multiple parts of the project.
I'm right in saying there's quite a few people, businesses in the building that have
now
taken up services.
yeah, coming joining us as well.
I mean, it's
That's
just
great.
and it makes sense, doesn't it? It's obvious. I mean, I like your being grown up about it.
To get some commission.
Yeah.
We probably owe plenty back. I will worry
I
about
could
it.
say it's absolutely beautiful. That's the deal we're talking about.
Yeah, it helps to sell the overall. It helps to sell either an office here as a reason for somebody to join to try and promote their business, or to sell one of the services that we offer, because it's easy to get advice.
I think from our perspective as well, is not just us talking to these guys, it's actually the rest of our team are talking to their team. So like Liz, who does our payroll, has been working a lot with Dan, who heads AMPM, about making their timesheet and payroll process more efficient to free his time. Because as a business owner, he shouldn't be sat there spending his mornings approving timesheets, etc. So it's about the right people being able to have the right conversations. So I like Larissa, I know Charley with when he's dipping in with the bookkeeping and stuff, is Larissa's there as well, that he can just walk in and go, how do I do? Or is this right? And then you've got that person on hand. And then Tim, who works at AMPM as well, I know he's been doing a lot on project costing to make sure all of the reporting is coming out in the right fashion. And he's been working with Liz so that when she's doing the payroll and the journals are going in, they're reporting in the right way, so that when he goes, right, okay, these are all the costs of the project for the last week, all of the hours, etc., are on there, so that they've got the full picture of their projects.
Yeah. Wow.
The team, like, it's right to call out those guys, because they drive on like a more micro level, like loads of discipline into the stuff that we do, and then actually it's making big changes, like the stuff that Rob's talking about for AMPM is like transforming our awareness of performance, and it's simple stuff but it needs, in a small business you don't have like a change manager, like so you have to rely on somebody going above and beyond, and Tim and Dan and Kay as well have put in the hours of going, like, fighting the things that go wrong, but then working with Liz to deliver it, and all of a sudden, right, we know so much more.
And I think that's a key one, and again, relating as a business owner myself, is that there are certain things that you kind of go, and you know that I do this with you, because I just go, can you get on and do it? Like you said, is that I don't want to be involved in every conversation.
Well, you've got to know what your strengths are.
Absolutely. But there are times when it's like going, yeah, fine that you're doing it, but I need to then see what the heck does that mean? What does that translate to for us as an organisation?
If you're operating at director level within a business, and you're a business owner as well, you need to be able to take a glance at the overall position and actually understand where you're at. And in order to be able to do that, you have to get the input right, and that's where everything's just been discussed. Those sort of smaller tasks where these, the bookkeeping, that all feeds into the bigger picture, where people like us, if we get it right, you can then just go, oh, okay, right, we'll do it right. Oh, let's focus on this, focus on that, and you haven't got to pour through like data.
But just give that as double Dutch.
So it's really useful.
No, I mean, like I've always said, the biggest example is I always thought that cash was king, and if you've got cash, then you're doing okay. And it's like, actually, that doesn't always mean that that's the case, because the accounts go in different directions. So you need someone to interpret it, but you need to have the reports there. So Okay, so I mean, you guys have done that as well. You're now working on, and I'm going to put these out because not all of them mean anything to me. Option agreements.
Yeah, that's where Jamie was talking earlier about securing the land, and that's where it kind of it's great that Iain sits there and can put together that option agreement so that you get the ability to buy the plot of land subject to certain conditions. It's just a way of securing a future pipeline.
Rather than negotiating over the price at the start, you can agree what it would be worth if you achieve the planning, for example, and then do it that way, rather than have to sort of take all the risk with a big pot of money. You can work 2 years out on more deals. So that's what we're trying. That's one of the things that we're looking to do, is because it suits us well with the team here, is we can quickly sense check with the planners.
Yeah.
Has that got a good chance of getting planning? They'll give a one side of A4 quick précis of the facts, and then we can go okay,
Commercial
that-
decision on it.
yeah, and then we can quickly make a proposal to the landowner based on that, our experience, to go, okay, well, we believe that it could be worth in this range, so we'd be willing to pay you X in 2 years' time if we achieve planning. And that rather than them feeling like they get a bad deal at the start when you're just negotiating on price,
Yeah.
you can sort of set that expectation in the future based on what we think we can achieve. So it's a win-win.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have a kind of almost a thing nowadays where, I mean, because we're making one of the key points in this show is how Optimum with both the accounts and the legal side and together, and we made the comment earlier about client, solicitor, accountant, no, just they're there. Do you almost kind of look at it now and kind of go, should it be any other way?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The other way.
But it's
Yeah,
not
can
the
be.
key point. I mean, Iain, I know we've had this conversation, is the fact of Optimum being this combined, professional services of the legal and accounts. And you almost sort of sit there and go, should it be any other way? The two parties together is such an obvious link.
I think it's difficult. I mean, I think I don't know how many years I've been qualified, getting into heading towards the third decade, I think it feels like it. I mean, and I think Rob would probably back me up on this. From a regulatory perspective and a professional perspective, increasingly what I do as a solicitor, I need to be mindful of stuff like tax, like some of the property. Charley mentioned some of the details, that increasingly there is more and more stuff that I'm expected to know about, some of which you wouldn't necessarily regard as being pure law. But then I'm in the context of being a business advisor. So I could sort of say, yeah, go ahead and, as Charley said, go ahead and buy that property. Well, we've not looked at the stamp duty. If you buy something outright, you're paying your stamp duty land tax, effectively an input tax. Now, this is what, from an accountancy perspective, it's always a funny one, SDLT, because it's just an input tax, but because of the way that it can be a significant outlay on an acquisition. Now, if you're structuring things in a different way by way of options or something, people might sort of say, oh, that sounds really sexy, and it's, oh, that sounds a bit iffy or a bit dodgy. No, it's not. I think it's more collaborative, the approach that you need to be able to adopt, as opposed to, right, I want this. The traditional model will be, yeah, I'm going to sell that for this. Okay, but then that's outlay for, right, you've got to then raise the capital. And you're not going to see a return on that for, and there's a lender in the background. And. So then it's coming back to sort of say, oh, somebody walks in the door, I'm looking at doing this. And so, yeah, fine, just give us the instructions. I'm going to buy that plot of land for £100,000 or whatever. Am I doing my job as a solicitor? Well, I suppose yes, but am I? And I think it's more being part of the Optimum with that, as your point, that there is more to it now. I think the world is moving on. The expectations, certainly, I guess I shouldn't keep complaining about the regulators. That is what it is. But just, I think generally, people are probably a bit more switched on. There's more information out there. I mean, this is all on the internet as well. The information is there, but does everybody understand it? And it's not so much the stuff that is there, it's the stuff that's not there.
Quite, and there's the interpretation of it, but I think both of you guys made the key point that it constantly changes.
Yeah, it does.
You need someone on top of it.
This, I think, I don't know whether we say
badges
that.
and guidance, that's the
Well, the development of property industry is unique, but there's quite a lot of people that think they know quite a lot about it. I don't think people feel the same way about, like, I don't know, finance, for example. People seem to accept that, well, that's really complicated, instead of the moving parts, and I'll have my financial advisor and I trust them. You find quite a lot of people that I've found with their landowners, whether they're homeowners or developers, that have an unrealistic expectation of what's achievable. And sometimes something like an option agreement just gives a developer who is prepared to find that out and create the value in the land, which doesn't really exist unless there's a planning consent for what you can actually build on it, to give them confidence to do that, figure it out, and add that value. And it protects that form of agreement, protects their interests and the landowners. And if a developer were to do that speculatively, so without that form of agreement in place, or just buy the land outright, then it just wouldn't happen. It doesn't really happen anymore. So, whether there's a promotion agreement or an option agreement in place, it enables that process to happen, and the right people to be doing the work on it to secure consent.
And to know that the right people are doing the right thing. And,
that's actually been one of the things that's got a couple of our deals over the line recently, has been by, rather than it being a cards close to the chest, they've got their number, we've got our number, how close can we get to our number, by actually showing what we want to do with it, showing what we would build, showing what we think it would cost to build, and what we think it would be worth, and being being really open book about this is what we actually think we would do with this. So do you want us to do that with your land? If so, this is how we need to structure it to cover some risk, but your risk is covered, because if we don't get planning, then we're all back where we started. And so there we go. But based on the advice that we get, we're willing to put our necks on the line and spend the 50 grand to find out, or whatever it is. So that actually can be quite persuasive, rather than just going, oh, what do you think they'd sell it for? So, well, what do we think it's worth? And we'll go around that way and show them what we would do.
And quite a lot of landowners, like, quite rightly, they care about what is built on their land. They don't just necessarily want a scheme with the highest density, or the most units, or the biggest units. They want it to look nice as part of their sort of legacy. So we do have an approach here as well, where generally we're not doing house bashing. It's quite design led. The architecture is an important part of it, because those units, those schemes sell the best, I think. And there's Cheltenham and Gloucestershire, and it is an area where you can build nice stuff to achieve high values. And that works for the developer, and that works for the landowner as well.
And from your perspective, Rob, I mean, it's just obvious, isn't it, the legal and the finance?
It is. It's kind of, I've been talking today with guys that are more construction property focused, so it's a natural fit for us. Having property lawyers just sat here, but it's kind of all of our clients. Most of them either own their own unit that they operate from, or they lease it, and it's great having a solicitor that you trust, that you can go to and go, yeah, okay, is this okay? But actually, it's about does it fit with my longer term plan as well? Is it structured right for me?
Well, yeah, because I don't just want the black and white, the law says yes or no. Is that we need to sort of go, great, but how does that fit with our longer term financial plans, or whatever it might be? Absolutely.
It's that tailored approach to fit in the fact with actually, yes, it is right or wrong for legal perspective. That's kind of, I'd love to say it was black and white, but obviously this is legal, so there's like various shades of grey along. But it is absolutely right about fitting it with what are you aiming to achieve by leasing this building or buying this building. What does it mean for your long-term,
or choosing to build one,
or choosing to build
and that's
all of it coming together.
Something that you probably wouldn't get with a more somebody who's at more arm's length to us, wouldn't be the hard questions of like, well, what would happen if you didn't do that, or what would happen if why don't you just sell it, or why don't you just like why don't you think about what you're going to do in 5 years, and is this really what you want to be doing, rather than just carry on assuming that you have to. Those questions that we get from the guys, because they are more involved and they know more about our business, helps you sort of go more. Because you don't often get a lot of time to sit back and think differently when you're in a small business. So it's actually really helpful to be slightly more embedded in that way.
No, it makes sense. I don't know whether I'm supposed to mention his name, but I obviously know back to when it was regulatory accounting.
Yeah.
And then there was the legal side joined together, and then there was the graduate. I'm probably telling the story slightly wrong in order, but it became Optimum Professional Services because it is the combination of them. When that happened, and I'm pretty sure you're involved when that happened.
We joined just after that.
Just
wasn't it?
after.
Yeah.
Okay, but so probably because it was happening, maybe to some extent. Do you know if this setup was what you always had in mind, or has this been a kind of an evolution of what you were able to provide?
I think it was the kind of the utopian goal.
Really? That I think
It's kind of that's where we want to get it to, and so absolutely we're still on that path, because it's kind of at the moment we're from the accounting side. We're kind of full service. We can pretty much do most things that clients are after. From the legal side, and it's kind of that's where our journey is going to carry on progressing, because it is, as business owners, you know yourselves, there are many arms to what you require from your solicitor, and property is one of them. And as I just said, it's kind of a lot of businesses have leases or they own their own buildings, so but there are much more involvement from a legal perspective that we could have, and that's kind of where we want to grow the legal side going forward, is bringing more and more of those to it, so that our clients truly don't need to go elsewhere, because it's kind of, you can knock on the door and got an employment solicitor, for example, just there, and it's kind of adding those levels of service to the clients, of
course,
to make that whole package.
But did you, when you first started working with the site, and we talked about how it was just to sort of understand the accounts package better to start with, and then kind of accounts, bookkeeping, VAT, payroll, tax in general, it kind of evolved. Did you from the get-go envisage that this is where it could go?
Pretty much, yes, because it was one of the reasons why I joined Optimum. Was my portfolio has quite a few,
but you could see,
but it was kind of, we got to the stage with working with AMPM that it was kind of, we were getting to the stage of we need to sit around the table as the client, the accountant, and the solicitor, and it was kind of getting to the stage where it's the trouble is coordinating diaries, because everybody's lives are so busy. And so when Rich came to me and said, would you like to join, it was kind of like the fact that we got a property solicitor on tap was kind of one of the big selling points for me. The fact that I thought it would help me and my clients to go, right, actually, you know what, we're going to be in the same office. Here we go. There is no fighting diaries between everybody. It's just kind of, they can go, right, we've got a day, we want to talk about this, and this. And it's great.
So from the initial relationship with the site, you could then see that could become what Optimum was all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it had to start with a little nucleus of working together.
Yeah, the Optimum were part of the original members, I guess would be the way to say it, for site phase one. They were part of that, like facilitate the project actually happening. So just taking on double the space effectively. So
I'll turn then the question on its head then, is that obviously, because I've said this, I'm sat here able to be independent as the host of this show, seeing how, these guys, Optimum, are created to be able to provide all the different services. You guys have very much got that rationale of being able to go, you can come here and we've got everything under one roof to help with the project. Did you already have that as your goal, or did some of it come after working with Optimum? There's no right or wrong answer.
It's a bit of both, really. Like, so one question, one part of what the site is, as we explained earlier, is just that the nature of delivering projects through collaboration here. That was something that we wrestled with for a little while, as to how much you actually manage that, or like whether you just let it happen. Because of how much we plan to do project wise, we thought it was worth pushing it that way for our own benefit, because we're going to work with everyone here anyway, so we might as well do it properly.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a value to that, and it seemed appropriate that could be offered to third parties. And to be honest, the accountancy and legal being based here has really helped facilitate that, because it's like that's an early stage advice you need, because people just rush, anything one of our investors it's just rush to shake hands and do the deal. But it's just give us 48 hours. Just all we need. And that's great, because that's the pace, that's the energy that you need. But you've obviously got to check the financial position or the legal position, position most importantly, because once you start down a certain path, you can very rarely backtrack and go down a different one. I know that's all very high level sort of language, but it's true. You need to have the right people around you that you can take a quick look at something and go prove that your feeling is right.
Yeah,
makes sense, and that's an important part of it. So.
It makes sense. And I mean, you've also said it's going on to assist with gaining finance intros to others who may be of use. We've already talked about the work that Liz is doing with efficiency processes, and even things like new coding in the accounts package to help those reports mean. Again, we said about it making sense what you're looking at.
Yeah, and that's I was talking about right at the very start of a project, and all those points are now actually when you've got to deliver it, arguably that's when the real work starts. That's where all of those parts really feed into efficiently running a project or a business, and having the team there to do it is really helpful.
Yeah, particularly a lot of this stuff, talk about finance it's just a throwaway thing, but so complicated. Even if you're good at maths, that's just not even the main part of it. It's all these different nuances and 50-page documents with something in there to catch you out. And as mentioned earlier, the biggest thing that I've worked on since I've been here is the long-term finance of this place and sorting that out. And it's a minefield for anybody who, even if you're super switched on, it's nerve-wracking when you're talking seven-figure borrowing, and then these guys just there on hand to say, yeah, that's all good. Make sure you do this, this, and this. And Rob and I were just the other day, when we were catching up about some of the information I have to share with our lender, went through it together. That's all good. Sent it off, no questions back, and that just gives me that that sort of safety blanket that I'm not gonna do anything wrong, even though there's nothing to hide. It's you're dealing with a big bank that might just change their mind. So it's that gives me that comfort that you're not on your own dealing with this big scary stuff.
Yeah, which good advisors give you. There's a confidence to actually make decisions, not just so you can blame them, but but just give you the confidence to make a decision, and that's a slightly different thing. But someone's got to do it. I don't envy the job he's got. Very sort of battles to fight, but yeah, it is a minefield. It appears.
I love it. I mean, just listening from the outside to the synergy of not just the physical work, but the mindset and the ethos is. We've had this conversation many times with nothing to do with this, that it was this joined up thinking. You guys have got this joined up thinking, and then you're joined up thinking the joined up thinking.
Yes.
It's the same principle, yeah.
It does kind of sum it up that way, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. And then you're right, it's about that ethos thing, is kind of, we're here, as Charlie said about the safety blanket, but it's actually business owners generally have a good steer on their business. And so it's kind of, we're here as that sounding board to kind of finesse it in a lot of ways. I know Charlie may downplay his role, but he knows what he's doing. And we're just here to make sure it's kind of steered in the right direction if it needs a tweak here and there, or actually just that third party overview, just going, have you thought about something different? And it's just that, the open door, and then it's just that being able to have the sounding board, I think.
When it happens, because I think it was you, Jamie, that said, is that you don't know when that issue or that need to work it out comes.
Yeah, and you can't anticipate everything. Like you can probably get 95% of it right, but it takes a couple of things to.
And it's at that moment I want to be able to go and speak to someone, get the answer now.
Yeah, and there's usually a way out of it. Like you're very, very badly advised if you're absolutely stumped, but and so good advisors, they talk to each other and then they advise you of the risks, and then as a business owner you can make a decision. Like it's not about trying to mitigate every single risk, it's about understanding them and then being able to move forward.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a game and it's a bit stressful at times, but it's made easier when it's.
But I guess the other thing is even down to the level of just doing the networking and being prepared to do the work to invite different people, different clients and stuff. And actually through the networking, we've made contacts that are taking an office or my finance broker, who I probably spoke to. I probably spent more time on the phone to him over the last year than anyone in my life. And I didn't even know him. I didn't even know him until from an introduction at an Optimum networking morning when I first started it. And so it's even at that level, just to actually just bother to organise an event, with a purpose as well, because the people that come, they're there for a reason. So yeah.
Well, what does the future hold?
Retiring.
You've got a long time to do that.
Take a holiday.
I thought your flight path was more like this, not like that.
This is my new strategy we've been working on. For the site, well, we're going to get finished. And then
finish it.
Everyone can just enjoy being here and working here and have a big party and more events.
But as even as a group, what's still yet to come?
We would like to. We would really like to do another one, another site,
Another one of these.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, ideally do another two. In the locations that we particularly want to go and develop in.
Monte Carlo and the
Oxford, Bristol, and we think this model would work well there, and we feel we'd like to think that some of the teams here would like to set up satellite offices there. However, that's not the focus for us immediately. Really, the key is to get this place really singing and more events. In what we I think we're 95% let. So just get the new people in. Got some good new additions. Structural engineers recently joined us, Lark Cooper, and we've got some of the progress conversations. I won't say names because they haven't signed on the dotted line yet. To really just keep the work flowing through here for everyone and keep the events, the footfall.
It makes it more peaceful then as well, doesn't it?
It sort of develops a sort of life of itself.
And the proof is in the pudding and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay, what do you see as the future of it?
For these guys, well, it's a big future, I think. We're having a lot of conversations at the moment how we structure things going forward, because obviously there's a bit like in most businesses, there's an age range of people involved as well. So you've got to try and work your way through who's dropping out, when, what's their personal goals to when they're leaving the business. So it's all about that kind of the income generation, but also the asset generation, so that you know that there is something. So you're creating some value for everybody else that's going to carry on, as well as being able to create that pot for those that do. That's Charley when he retire. Although it's news to me that he's the first one out the door. So I think there's a big future for them, and it's kind of bringing all of the guys together here and the kind of the development projects they're creating and stuff. There's a lot of interest around that, and that's great to see that actually what the end result, the production, is becoming top notch as well, so that people really want to get involved in it.
Definitely. I mean, I love listening to the whole story. Both sides equally, is that just seeing this, the way that you both work independently, but the way that you're then bringing those ethoses together just makes sense. And it is a wonderful facility. I do encourage you, go to the site, cheltenham.co.uk, have a look at it. Even if you kind of go, yeah, but we're not in those industries, don't think of it as just an office space. The space for the event genuinely is wonderful. Tom and I, when we walked in here, just went, can we come and do our shows here all the time? They're absolutely brilliant. And we get to see more of it. So do have a look at them. From the Optimum perspective, noticing how it's great to see more than, I don't mean to say this derogatory, but just accountancy services being offered, which you can do, just that, that's what is required. But it's that actually open it up, and it's like the accounting, the legal, but it's you guys, from what you're saying, would agree with this. I've always been an advocate of saying that these guys aren't just accountants, they're business advisors. He says that all business owners tend to have a steer on where they're going. Not always, do we?
I think
advise.
that's accurate. Yeah, we certainly feel.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
what we get. So
Exactly. And I knew I was safely saying that because it's from my own personal experience as well.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a legitimate comment. Anything that I haven't covered, Rob, that you'd like covered in this?
No, I think
That's done.
cracking. Yeah.
Ian,
No, I think that's everything.
anything that you guys want to say, not necessarily just with the content we've done, but from publicising themselves anymore? Anything I've missed out?
No, I'm sure if I think about that too long, I'll say something inappropriate. So I'm ready.
Well,
That's
it's
here on the 15th.
oh yeah, when Tuesday the 15th of September.
For the breakfast. Yeah.
It's the next breakfast networking here. It's just
Here
making
at
sure
Charley,
it's
it's here
booked
at
in.
the site, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so keep an eye on Optimum's website, sign up to the marketing emails,
And it's on Eventbrite.
Eventbrite as well,
Yeah.
always on Eventbrite. It's a free networking, which is lovely to see. And it is a nice, relaxed one. There's no stand up and give a 60-second pitch or anything like that. No, it's just nice conversations.
Nice coffee and nice pastries.
Oh, yes, it's pastries.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Swindon, we have the bacon rolls. Here we have the pastries. Where I've got to come to this. Definitely. Gents, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. Really, really enjoyed this one. Don't forget, any questions that come to your mind from this, drop either side of the line, and we'll be able to get them answered off for you. We'll be back next month for episode 11. I've forgotten what we're doing now. We do have it scheduled, but I've forgotten what it is. Oh, I know what it is. It's doing it for Dan, your charitable partner.
Yeah.
We got doing it for Dan on board. To have a chat with them, that you guys, that's your charity of the year this year, isn't it? So we're going to have a chat with them. All sorts of other things. I know we're both sponsors of Swindon Wildcats. That's coming up again soon. I think we'll be doing something with them in the future. So we'll see you guys there. Been an absolute pleasure to meet you guys. Thank you for hospitality here at the site.
Thank you.
We'll see you next episode. Cheers, guys.